Have Mandy Gwynn, and she is from our Environmental Science and Research Department. Mandy?
Great, Connie, thanks. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen if I can. All right, can you verify that you can see it? Great. So like Connie said, my name is Mandy Gwynn and I'm chair of the Environmental Science Department. And I'm just going to spend the next couple of minutes talking about our department, kind of courses you would take, and then careers that you could get if you were looking at a degree in environmental science. So we'll go ahead and get started. The first thing is just to kind of explain what environmental science is. And so if you're not familiar with what environmental science is, basically in these courses, we're trying to understand natural systems. So things like the environment or maybe grass ecosystems or water ecosystems, and really look at how humans are impacting those systems or what effects that we play on those. So environmental science, our description in the catalog says that we lay the foundation for understanding these natural systems and the human effects on these systems. So if you're looking at a degree program and you're wondering, well, who should go into environmental science? These are kind of the questions you should ask yourself. So number one, if you have a passion or do you care about your planet's resources, this would be a good question I would ask environmental science students. And if the answer is yes, then you should consider environmental science. If you enjoy a blend of both indoor and outdoor working environments, then environmental science might be the program for you. And the last one is probably the most important. If you're eager to provide solutions to rising environmental issues, then this is definitely a program you should consider. So our environmental science program at United Tribes, we actually have 2 degrees. We have a 2-year or an AS degree, and then we also have a 4-year BS degree. And I've put some of the courses that you would take in these programs on your slide, and I did try and separate it out into the 2-year program and then the 4-year. And what I've listed here are your core courses. So you will still have to take some general education courses, and these courses are going to be the same pretty much for most of the programs that you take. And so for the 2-year, if we look at the 2-year program, some of your core courses that you would take or courses that we would encourage you to take are environmental science, biology. So you're going to take a couple biology classes, chemistry classes, geology, which is the study of rocks, and then soil science, learning about soils, and then ecology, which is looking at how organisms interact with their environment. Those would be some of the core courses for the AS degree. If you're looking at the BS degree, our AS moves straight into our BS. So once you've completed your first 2 years of your AS degree and you graduate, you've actually also completed your 2 years of your BS degree, your first 2 years. So then you'd move into these core courses, which are listed under the BS degree 4-year here. And so courses that you might take under that program are like Intro to Weather and Climate. We take things like evolution and genetics, botany, which is looking at plants and their systems, hydrogeology. So again, we're looking at kind of water and how it flows throughout the earth. Wildlife management, environmental law, environmental regulations. And then with our BS program, you're also going to take some additional stats courses or math courses, which are going to help you with the other thing that you take in our program. So these are some of our core courses, but really the cool and kind of essential courses are your research courses. So if you saw, our program is called Environmental Science and Research. And so in both your 2-year and your 4-year, you get to develop a research project that's unique to whatever you're interested in studying. So all the images on the slides that you've seen are students actually doing their research projects. So this is a former student here. She did a project on bats. You saw some images with students working with fish or students working on plants. And so these are students' projects that they've come up with. And so in your two-year class, two-year courses, you're also going to take 4 research classes where you start with research 1, start developing your project ideas and your hypotheses, all the way to presenting your research, which is your capstone course. And you do that for both the 2-year and the 4-year. So if you're with us for a full 4 years, you get to do 2 projects. So students that are, well, here's another student, again, presenting his project. So it looks like his project was on microbial fuel cells. But students that are graduating with us from an AS degree, typically these students are going to go into technician type jobs. So maybe be an agricultural technician or environmental technician, or even a lab technician. So if working outside isn't for you, there's a lot of opportunities to work inside as well. Some of our employers that have employed our students coming out of an AS degree are things like the EPA or the Environmental Protection Agencies on like maybe Standing Rock or some of the other tribal agencies. Game and Fish Department, US Forestry Department, the USDA Agricultural Research Service, environmental consulting firms, private industry, and then a lot of our students move on, like I said, to the bachelor's program. Careers that you can go into after getting your bachelor's degree, it kind of opens the door a little bit more to becoming a hard scientist, right? So environmental science, you can be an environmental scientist. You can do things like work in environmental policy and law, maybe be a forestry or park ranger, maybe go into forensic science or look at like maybe wildlife and fishery biologists positions. And so it opens the door for a little bit more. And that's basically our program in a nutshell. I guess I can open up to any questions if we have questions. I know there's some students on that might have some questions. Or even if you want to know what the students are doing in the pictures. If not, then I'll turn it back over to Connie and I'll be here through the other presentations if you come up with some other questions. So, oh, I see some stuff in the chat too. Yep, Connie just says, make sure if you have other questions and don't want to ask them out loud, just go ahead and feel free to put them in the chat box. So. Good. Thank you, Connie.
Thank you, Mandy, for that. And I'm really glad that you clarified about the associate's degree, how, do I need to get my associate's degree first before I can apply to the bachelor's? And it's more of a continual education. So I know that question comes up a lot with students. So thank you for that.